town of Southampton. And I'd like to start the meeting by having our members introduce themselves.
I'm Bill Manger, Mayor of the Village of Southampton. I'm joined in the audience by Deputy Mayor Aresta and Trustee Zananti.
Lisa Gorey, Chairwoman, Shinnecock Nation.
Thomas Houghton, Southampton Town Engineer.
Tom Neely, Transportation Consultant to the town.
Charlie Paul, Highway Superintendent.
Jim Keenan, Chief of Police. Bill Powell, Councilman, sitting in for Marie, the Supervisor Marie Moore.
And on Zoom,
Yes, Councilmember Michael Iacilli. I apologize to everybody for not being able to make it today. I wish I could be there in person, but I do have COVID, so I'm trying to.
Hi everyone, how you doing? My name is Nick Fasano. I work at the Union State Long Island Railroad. So I'm here today. I'm sorry, like the councilman, unfortunately I couldn't make the trip today. So thank you for having the virtual option.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear us?
Yes.
we're good. Nick, can you hear us?
Can Nick hear us?
No.
Put it in the chat.
Kevin, can you write to Nick to see if he is able to hear us?
Had to.
Because he's not answering. Anyway, while we're figuring that out, again, Councilmember Michael Iacilli, I'm here attending virtually. Why don't we actually stand for the pledge and then I'll give it back to Tom.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I guess also before we begin, maybe we should just review the agenda today, just so everybody is aware of how today's meeting will sort of pan out. We're going to first discuss ongoing initiatives, provide any updates with respect to that. I'm sure we'll hear also from Legislator Welker, who might have some updates about CR 79 meeting. Then our co-chair, Tom Neely, will review some of the comments that we received. And we'll also hear from our other co-chair, Charlie McCardle, on any particular highway matters. And then we have Nick Fasano from the LIRR here, and we are also anticipating somebody from the State Department of Transportation to be here, which was coordinated by Senator Fred Thiel, who can't make today's meeting, but we thank him for helping us with that coordination. And then after that, we will have a presentation from Jay Fitzpatrick, is a local resident who is also an architect who has been really involved in a lot of different community issues, who is going to present to us on a big presentation, some thoughts that he had about County Road 39, to get us thinking a little bit about that. Then our co-chair, Tom Neely, will go over two other presentations, east and west traffic volume data, and then also 3 E's, enforcement, engineering, and education. And from there, we will move on to public comment. I just want to remind everybody we will have this room from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We will try to get through all of our agenda items in a timely fashion so that we can get to all public comments. Okay, Tom, if you want to pick it up.
Excuse me, Tom. Just want to, can you hear in the back?
Barely.
No one can hear.
Is there an issue?
They're saying we can't hear you very well.
Oh, no.
Well, I'll tell you what, we will carry on.
Go ahead, Tom.
We will carry on, and if there's an issue and we need to address it, we'll try again. as I said, as Michael said, the first part of the agenda will be to discuss the ongoing initiatives by several members of our task force, and where we'll start. We'll start with Charlie.
So currently, we're in full swing with the cones at Canoe Place Road in Hampton Bays. I'm assuming everybody's familiar with it. At 5:30 in the morning, with the assistance of the town police, we set up a series of cones. We blink the light going east on Montauk Highway. We eliminate the left turn coming out of Canoe Place. We force everybody to go east, which 99% of the people are. We run into some issues with people coming out of Newtown Road, trying to cut through the back of the north side of Hampton Bays to stay off Montauk Highway. They come out of that road and then they interrupt traffic by making U-turns. Lieutenant Kiernan with the police department, we tried an initiative where we were going to allow them to make the turns for a couple days, and it actually didn't pan out, so we were able to adjust and go back to the original plan. It is frustrating because we spend a lot of time setting up the cones, and then people will come out of Newtown Road, head west, and when I say people, I mean in the hundreds, and then they make U-turns and interrupt the traffic. Sometimes it's a 3-point turn just to go east. So as we continue to do better things, we get frustrated when it sometimes works too good, and now we have people flocking that way, to the point where Dune Road from West Hampton to the Ponquag Bridge in Hampton Bays is now bumper to bumper every morning coming over the bridge, which means they come over the bridge and they race through the back of Hampton Bays to get to Canoe Place. So anyway, as we go forward, we're trying different things just to see if they work. On another note, a little bit further west, we had a meeting with the Remsenburg School. They had some major issues with speeding vehicles in front of their school, and the makeup of the school has changed over the years, where now they have a lot of students that walk to school. So as quickly as we could, we installed, with the assistance of the police department, with the town's engineer and the parks department, we quickly were able to put up digital speed signs in front of the Remsenburg School. And we just completed, which I'm very proud of, a sidewalk from in front of the school all the way out to Montauk Highway. Another part of that was on South Country Road and Mill Road, where the school is. Again, it was a very fast-paced road. It's a dangerous curve. We were able to get a traffic study done quickly, and we installed complete stop signs at that location to slow down and make sure that the children are safe going to school. As we went around the bend towards the post office in Remsenburg, we have plans to put in a crosswalk. Now, if you're not familiar with the Remsenburg post office, they don't have mail delivery, so every person goes there every day, every business day. So for a little quiet neighborhood, it does get quite the crowd every morning to go to the post office. So these are some of the things we've started and we've put in place as we attempt to address traffic hamlet by hamlet. And I know that the chief has started blinking the lights, and I'll let him speak on that was it St. Andrews or St. Andrews and Montauk Highway in the afternoon. Hopefully, if you're going west from this meeting, you get the benefit from that. But that's about it on my end.
So Chief, you want to pick it up? Give us your update?
Well, I'll just add to what Charlie said about St. Andrews. With the help of the village police, we are blinking the light at St. Andrews every day in the afternoon rush hour, which keeps the flow, hopefully keeps the flow through the village, and it doesn't back up, and keeps things going west. We did on a different note, we were hoping to do some work with speed enforcement on 39, and we were looking at a company that was actually supposed to do a presentation today that was unable to at the last minute, and they were going to present their technology, and their technology is speed cameras, because 39 is very hard to pull cars over. Also, Noyak Road is very hard to pull cars over safely. So we were considering speed cameras in those locations, and we were talking to Assemblyman Thiel, who advised us that would take a law change, and that wouldn't be something that was feasible in the near future. This company also has cameras, these speed cameras that send out warnings to people, letters that say, you were caught. It shows a nice picture of your car speeding on the road and says, please don't do this anymore. I personally don't think an initiative that doesn't have consequence would work too well in the long term. But it's worth looking at, and it's worth hearing what they have to say and looking at other areas that use these so-called warnings instead of fines. So it was a little discouraging that it's not feasible at this point to give people fines through that technology, but we'll still keep looking at it. We also want to, the Highway Department purchased several speed signs for the town in different areas. We want a lot more, so we're looking for different ways to fund that through maybe possibly the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee. And I have personally asked them for money, and we'll see if we can put together a grant and get more of those electronic speed signs throughout the town in every hamlet. That's really all I have, Tom.
Okay. Councilman Pell, do you have anything in particular?
I'm sitting in for the supervisor, so all I know is we have a lot of traffic, and we're trying to help everyone. And on speed signs, our engineer Tom purchased 5 signs for us, and with the work of the highway, they're going to put them up. So we are trying a little bit here, a little from the police department, but we all have to work together.
And
If I may actually,
sorry, Tom. Sorry, Michael.
do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you to the police chief as well as Charlie McCardle, our highway superintendent, for bringing back the blinking yellow light program on Hill Street and St. Andrews. I think it's very helpful. That was a coordinated effort, so I applaud everybody for working together on that. Obviously, it's important to note that there was supposed to be a presentation from a company, I think it was Logix, for the speed cameras, as the chief mentioned. We'll see if we can get that back on another agenda in the future. But in addition to that, I just wanted to make mention that with the procurement of additional speed signs, we're going to be getting one installed on Noyak Road, where we received some concerns about speeding, Noyak Road and Millstone. In addition, we're planning on, we did a site visit with the highway department and the police department on Wakeman Road in Hampton Bays, and we're looking to put another speed sign on Wakeman and Palo Alto as well to address some of the speed concerns there. In addition, we've done a couple of other initiatives, but those are just to name a couple since we last met. And I just want to appreciate everybody for working together.
And also appear on Sabonic Road.
Yeah.
I think Tom had a little bit of information for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak about the speed signs. We purchased 5 of them. We bought them off of national contract, and they're our solar-powered 15-inch radar signs that have cloud monitoring. Each one costs about $5,000 each. So we will be purchasing them, but as budget allows. So they are not inexpensive units.
Mayor,
My concern though is that we are purchasing the ones that have the capability of flashing very bright. And I know that we had to purchase the recent batch of signs from a previously existing contract. I'm hoping that we could work on looking at another contract in the future where we can identify some of the speed signs that Sag Harbor Village uses, where they flash very bright. We've talked about them in previous meetings. Those seem to have a very real effect in driving behavior, and I think that we need to explore what contract we can look into to procure those specific speed signs.
Okay. And, Mayor, I didn't know if you had anything in addition to the update on St. Andrews or anything you wanted to
Yeah,
mention?
no, just that obviously we worked with the chief and the town and Councilman Iacilli to have village police staff also be available during the afternoon rush hours at the blinking for the light and to create a blinking light at the intersection of the highway and St. Andrews. So that I think has helped. As you may know, also the village put in a new traffic pattern at Hill Street near the movie theater, so that we have a dedicated through traffic lane on the right side and a new lane for those that need to make a left turn to be able to wait there until they can make that turn, but not hold up traffic that wants to continue traveling west. And that seems to be working out very well.
Yes. I've been through it a couple times recently, and it does seem to work very well.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I have the pleasure to introduce Legislator Welker and also ask her if she has any updates for us.
I have two quick updates, thank you. One would be we had an informational meeting about the Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike with Suffolk County DPW and the Bridgehampton Sag Harbor community. It was last week. It was held at SOFO at the South Fork Natural History Museum in Bridgehampton. There were approximately 80 people there. This is a project that's a continuation of a project that, so this portion of the resurfacing is from the intersection of Scuttle Hole Road and the Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike up into just about the Mesheshamuet Park in Sag Harbor. It's a resurfacing of the road with sidewalks and curbs and drainage. There had been a meeting probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago where there was quite a lot of discussion about the wildlife and the protection of the wildlife along this corridor, because there's a great deal of preserved land there, as well as the Long Pond Greenbelt on the east section of the road and the Great Swamp on the west section of the road, and the crossing and recrossing of wildlife in that area. That conversation was continued, but there are curbs that, rather than being a 90-degree angle, they're called mountable curbs, but they're at much more of a gentle angle. And although they may not be the best situation for wildlife, they are definitely superior and more accessible to the wildlife as they cross the road. And that's particularly geared towards turtles and towards salamanders in that area. So that was one conversation that a fair amount of this meeting took place with. Another was the discussion of whether sidewalks are necessary and needed in this area. And this is a conversation that this neighborhood, which has transitioned to a much more residential area, they are looking to have sidewalks, and they're looking to have sidewalks not on just one side of the road, but on both sides of the road in that area. So the question there was, what do the sidewalks look like? Are they straight? Do they meander? Do you save the trees? Does any of the people's property that abuts that road need to come into discussion there? And yes, the trees will be saved. No personal property will be taken. And will the sidewalks meander? In a perfect world, yes, but the design is, this was an informational meeting. So the DPW was giving their ideas, and then I think the meeting was almost 2 hours in length. Probably about 1.5 hours of it was back and forth with the community. So just getting ideas and thoughts from the community, from the residents that live in the area, and sharing some thoughts about where they are in the process and the timeline for this project. This is very much an information gathering stage for this section of the road. And the second thing that I wanted to mention briefly is North Sea Road is also a county road, and there is a project there that's similar in some ways to the Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike in that it's a resurfacing of an older cement road. Any of you that travel that on a regular basis know that it's quite noisy. So this would be asphalt going down on top of the cement, so it'll take away some of that the noise that's found with the road. And then there is a discussion there about the curbs and about the sidewalks. So what DPW is doing and they're doing it because they've had good reception to this idea in the hamlet of Brookhaven, which is a fairly rural area of Brookhaven town. It's south of Bellport or in that area. There's a county road there where the residents were not in favor of sidewalks and curbs. So what DPW did was to have a questionnaire that was sent out, both a physical one in the mail and also a QR code that accesses the questionnaire digitally, so you can fill it in online. It asks for, and so the same thing is going to be done with North Sea Road. It asks for the name of the person who's submitting the questionnaire. It asks for their address. It's sent out to people within, I don't know the area exactly that around North Sea Road. This is still sort of coming forward a little bit, but it's a fair area on either side of North Sea Road. It's not just the people whose homes abut the road, and then others in the community will also have access to weigh in on that, because many of us travel that road every day, even though we don't live on it. So that's something that's coming. When that does happen, we will share that information with the town and the village, and so that people can have the opportunity to weigh in on that questionnaire. The feeling from the County Department of Public Works was in Brookhaven that had worked very well. So they're looking for a similar good response to that. And the questionnaire is pretty straightforward. It's several yes/no questions as far as, do you like sidewalks? Do you want them on both sides? But then there's also the opportunity to just answer and weigh in on things other than sidewalks on North Sea Road. So I think that's sort of in a nutshell. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone wishes.
Okay, great. We'll ask for those questions, comments at the public comment section at the end of our meeting today. Do appreciate that update. And I was at the County Road 79, the Bridgehampton Sag Harbor Turnpike Sidewalk meeting, and as Legislator Welker said, I thought it was a very productive meeting, and it was well attended by the residents of the area. Next, just keeping up the theme, I want to go through some of the emails just very briefly that the task force has received, with Councilman Iacilli being the primary recipient through that town website. We've received emails, about 25 or 30, and this is in addition to any comments that have been made at the public comment session, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But I'm just going to kind of go through them real quickly. One resident wrote with ideas in Hampton Bays about one-way streets, limiting traffic to residents only. Another email, they were nice enough to share information about the Vision Zero program taking place in Hoboken. Another email regarding Sunrise Highway exit at Spionk Riverhead Road. They'd like to see an exit there. Someone wrote expressing their frustrations over having to commute from the North Fork to Bridgehampton, which I'm sure we can all appreciate. Another person shared the traffic calming article about what's been going on in East Hampton Village. We've received email of concern regarding Old Country Road and Spionk Riverhead Road. Another one has written us about biking and truck restriction ideas. There's an email regarding the blinking signal in Watermill. Email with concerns and ideas about Noyak Road. Two emails about Diamond Court and Mill Farm Road, the concerns there, and another resident wrote with potential solutions for the problem there. Northside Hills resident wrote with concerns for their street, their neighborhood. Another person wrote with additional information about the Vision Zero program. We've received comment about Shrubland and Sabonic and County Road 39 with concerns and ideas. Gentleman wrote to request that we abolish right turns on red in the town. There's a couple of emails about Wakeman Road concerns and Argonne and Wakeman Road concerns, and it sounds like some of those are being addressed. County Road 39 mitigation ideas. Another resident wrote requesting slow down signs and other traffic calming on Noyak Road near Butcher Lane. Another suggestion for no trucks in the left lane of County Road 39. Requests for stop signs on Sag Road. Requests for stop signs in Bridgehampton, additional stop signs to what's already there. And a resident wrote with an idea to reduce traffic by reducing the size of homes being built and having less construction traffic if you're building smaller homes. So, as I said, that's our 25 or 30. Our Councilman Iaccelli has answered many of those. Some have not been answered, but we are going to respond. What we're trying to do is address, and I think these gentlemen spoke to it, see what things can be addressed in a short-term manner with some immediate steps, what's more long-term, what is, falls into kind of long-term strategic thinking and coordination type of programs. So again, these are being reviewed, they're being addressed as we can, and other ones are going, and all of these will contribute to help us develop our long-term strategies.
Tom, let me just comment on two things. So we did reconfigured the end of Spionk Riverhead Road and Old Country Road. That project is complete. It's been repaved, re-angled, and striped. And there was a comment about, and this has been talks for 30 years, about having an exit on Sunrise Highway to get to Spionk Riverhead Road. If you're familiar with that, a lot of it is commercial. So you have trucks that are now forced to go down into Spionk through Old Country Road and back out to either 31 Old Riverhead Road to go past the airport and to get to Sunrise Highway, or actually go all the way down Old Country Road to get into to Manaville that way, or Eastport to get onto that road to get to Sunrise Highway. It's the state's road. I would hope that maybe we could revisit that, because I think that would relieve a lot of truck traffic in that West Hampton, Spionk, Eastport area. If the trucks didn't have to go through those hamlets, they could just go back out to Sunrise Highway. That exact reason was why that we reconfigured the other end of Spionk Riverhead Road, because the tractor trailers couldn't make the turn. So with the help of CPF, because we had to use some of their property and some very clever engineering, we redid that corner, so now it's a lot safer.
And we actually did have meetings with the DOT about that a number of years ago with Assemblyman Thiel in the lead on that. So as Charlie said, that was determined by the DOT at that time that it would not work or was not going to be in their plans. So that's another example of one that I think we go back and revisit. Times change and situations change and people change, so I think that'll be on the list to revisit. That's where we are. And I think Councilman would encourage folks to continue to write us emails. When you speak at the podium, that's great, but if you can follow up with an email to us, because we can't take notes of everything everybody says, so if you either provide us with a script of what you've written or email us with your concerns, that's a great way to make sure we have a record of it and we can try to address it. I think now we are going to segue. Next item on our agenda is to talk with and about the state DOT and the Long Island Railroad. I'm not sure if we've identified a representative from the DOT zooming in yet, but I know we do have Nick Fasano from the railroad on with us via Zoom. And I just want to say, Nick and I have been exchanging emails for a long time, and we've exchanged a lot of emails over that time, and it's nice to see you face to face, Nick.
Yes, I wish I could be there in person, but I actually had another engagement that I needed to do. I needed to do in person from 3 to 4, so unfortunately I wasn't located in the town of Southampton. But yeah, thank you very much for having me. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And do you have some comments you want to start with, Nick? We had a couple questions, but if you'd like to open with some comments, that would be great.
I actually got a phone call while I was on the call, so I just grabbed that quick. So maybe, what else? I guess what I'll start with is that, I don't know how many of you tuned into our board meeting today, but, you know, I'm sure you all have been following the news about what's going on with our capital budget, which is, you know, the Long Island Railroad is one of 5 operating agencies within the MTA, and our capital budget was centralized several years ago and put under a different agency called Construction and Development. So they oversee the capital budget for the entire MTA and all those operating agencies. So today we had a board vote, discussion, whatever you want to call it, regarding the future of congestion pricing. Why that is significant for you all is because there are 2 very large dollar figure projects that we would need in order to run more service and help mitigate all this traffic. On a personal note, my mother's family is all from Bridgehampton. I'm out there all the time. I've been going out there my entire life. Most of my cousins are now in Sag Harbor, so you know, I wasn't alive a long time ago, but I know that things have, you know, it's more crowded, there's more people. I've seen it, I know it, and you know, everything when we talk about this stuff, I know we've talked about this stuff, you know, individually or together. I do feel for you because I know that, you know, Long Island has a traffic problem, and whether it's on the East End, in Nassau County, on North Fork, wherever, it's not getting any better, right? And that was kind of the whole crux of congestion pricing, was to begin to help alleviate that and fund transit in a better way so that we can make critical infrastructure improvements that would really steer people to things that we are going to build for the long term. So the 2 things that I wanted to mention is that we need more fleet. The existing diesel fleet that we have is not only getting older, it's about 30 years old now, but if we were to we have no more diesel fleet available. We don't have idle cars sitting around anymore. We have a spare ratio that we keep just in case of emergencies, but every day we're running pretty much everything that we have. So, Southport Commuter Connection, super successful. I know it's very popular. I'm very glad it's very popular. We all are, and we're very happy to, you know, help you guys work through this problem. You know, we recently instituted on Fridays, which is great, and we were able to do that through a couple of schedule manipulations that freed up more fleet. Part of the problem now, though, is to run more service from, you know, Babylon, Speonk, wherever, to Montauk, is we have to take fleet from elsewhere. And I know of very few people who want less, so we need more, and the only way to fund more is through our capital budget, which congestion pricing would help. Right now, we have about a $16 billion shortfall in this current program that we have to work around, and that will affect that. And the other one is, I think all you know about is the Speonk to Montauk capacity improvements, which is really a series of signal modernizations and passing signs between Speonk and Montauk. The 2 constraints of the single track in most of the area, plus the lack of fleet, made it really challenging to run a lot more service. So we are in a very interesting place as an agency where we know that there's a need for a lot of these projects, but we don't have a way to fund them. We can design them, we can have a conceptual idea about them, but that's the very beginning of something. We don't have a way to move these projects forward at this time, which I think is really unfortunate for all of us, because that is ultimately our goal. Like, we want to be building these projects. The funding is always the question, right? If we had the funding, we would do everything. And as we all know in government, there's only there are limited amounts of funds available for everything. So I know that was kind of long. I don't want to paint a total doom and gloom picture. Obviously, there's a lot of good things happening. We've supported a couple of events in the past couple of weeks. The Pride Parade in East Hampton. I think it was the Palm Tree Music Festival this past weekend. I mean, we respond to demand. If the demand is there and people want to ride, we will run the service for it if we have the fleet, which we will always try to find the fleet if it isn't readily available. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to answer questions or hear any comments that you have, and just keep working with you guys on these problems.
Well, Nick, I appreciate your comments and your being very forthright in your assessment. Nice to hear you guys feel as good about the South Fork commuter connection as we do. And you've seen the passenger counts. It's doing very well.
Yeah.
And the greatest impediment is the lack of frequency. So, and you're aware we had the rally on May 17th, and we've collected a whole bunch of letters and signatures and things like that. And some of us thought about coming into the MTA board meeting today, but just like you couldn't get out here, we couldn't get in there.
Yes.
I do wonder, I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know part of the agenda today for the MTA board was, what was going to be cut or trimmed back because of the delay in the congestion pricing. And I will say, I, for one, and I think many other people actually supported the congestion pricing with the caveat that we get our share of, those revenues. Were any of those improvements you talked about, and I think the estimate was somewhere in the range of $260 million, were any of those in the budget, but the congestion pricing is going to cut them out, or did they not make the first cut? Can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, so what I would say is the way that we're going to look at projects now is kind of a 3-tier system, where first tier is absolute state of good repair projects that are integral to keeping the system running. So our core mission is to move people from point A to point B safely, hopefully on time. That is the main purpose of our agency. That's why it exists. So everything outside of that becomes a kind of a nice to have. So the descending in terms of priority, unfortunately, we start to get into the accessibility options. So one of the biggest things that we're cutting are accessibility projects, especially in New York City, which is heartbreaking, because there's 23 separate stations that we can't move forward, and they've been deferred. And then from a Long Island Railroad perspective, they're also in New York City, but Forest Hills and Hollis we have to defer as well right now. So those are the next tier of things that will defer. And then expansion projects like this. So this past capital program, I think it was about 66 to 70% roughly was state of good repair. So again, going back to priority number 1, moving the trains, that is what we mostly invest in when it comes to our capital program. Rails, line structures, so bridges, station platforms, lights, power upgrades, third rail, all that, signal switches, stuff that makes the trains run. That's where we're investing most of our capital money. And then again, descending in priority order. So the best shot actually is the fleet portion, where fleet is more of a priority for us than expansion. So we want to have more fleet than a lot of these expansion projects would necessarily than they would necessitate. So the fleet is really important for us, but again, that's in like the second tier of things where we'll begin to defer a lot of our fleet procurement, which hurts us in this case, because electrification is we would all love to do it, but that's, the price tag is in the multiple billions, you know. For Port Jeff, it's almost 3. I think for Montauk, it's like maybe 10. It's crazy number, crazy big number. But all that to be said is we're still working through the problem in many cases, but we know what we need to, the critical projects that have to move forward, and then stuff like this, as I said, like an expansion project, which is in priority 3. Like you saw, Second Avenue Subway, which is a huge priority for us, has been deferred. We stopped construction on that. You know, we were really like shovels were in the ground ready for that in many cases. So a lot of this is a tough blow for us. A lot of, you know, again, on a personal note, the whole exercise has been very difficult because we're all, you know, we all really believe in our mission, and to watch these projects not happen after having put in all this effort, or at least not happen temporarily, is unfortunate.
Okay.
So that, I think, answered the first part of your question.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. Again, appreciate your honesty, and we're just going to have to keep banging away.
Yeah, keep advocating. That's the best thing I can say. Like,
you may see a trainload full of us at the next MTA board meeting.
As silly as it may sound, like you all are my constituents. So that it's my job to represent you when I'm, you know, meeting with my colleagues at the MTA. So. Yeah, the best thing that you can do is continue to advocate. I mean, I understand why this is a priority for you all, and I think it's a priority for a huge swath of Long Island. I mean, you know, if you want to talk about being an economic engine, I mean, the East End is huge. I know that we're looking at this problem more as residents right now, but the one offsets the other.
Well, and what I'd like to do now is open up if any members of the task force, I know Legislator Welker has a question or comment.
Hi, Nick. Thank you so much, first of all, for working with us to put the Pride train into place for the East Hampton Pride Parade. We really appreciate your efforts on that. And we also appreciate your efforts to accommodate trains for the Palm Tree Festival. That was really helpful. So just thank you so much for doing that. So I'm specifically asking about an increase in service. So I think that falls under fleet. And it's sort of a two-part question. And I think one, my question was whether it was possible to increase either the number of trains that were going back and forth to the East End, whether that would be part of South Fork Commuter Connection or otherwise. And then I almost feel like this is the part A. Would it be possible to increase the number of cars on the South Fork Commuter Connection if it's not possible to increase the number of trains? Because I think you're hearing from us that they're standing room only on most of the trains. So I understand that you need to reallocate resources and it would mean having to move a car from another system and bring it here. But is that possible, even as a pilot program, to try it for a certain amount of time and see how that might work?
Yeah, so back to what I was saying. So we have 4 diesel branches, but let's say we actually have 5, because I view, and many of us view, the South Fork Commuter Connection as actually a separate entity. So in terms of traffic, Port Jeff is the busiest, followed by Montauk, followed by Oyster Bay, followed by the South Fork Commuter Connection, and followed by Greenport. So that would be the order. So again, it becomes, I will certainly check, and if we can add a car here, a car there, maybe that's doable. A whole consist would be more challenging. I'm not sure if we have the fleet. I just don't know. And if we don't have the fleet, what that means is we have to go and take fleet from one of those other branches. And that's a tough call, right? We routinely, with our electric fleet, get rid of trains that are low ridership and package them into others and do all that kind of stuff. With diesel, it's tougher because the service headways are already so big in so many cases that we could be leaving a massive service gap, and we really try to avoid stuff like that. because part of our mission is to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get to where they need to go. And sure, it may not, be as convenient as getting in your car and driving, but it takes cars off the road, and again, it has other benefits. So we don't want gaps of 5-6 hours potentially. That would be very bad. So I'll certainly look and see, at least with the cars, maybe a train, I don't know. Again, like, I think it really comes down to both to how our lack of available fleet plus the limiting factors of the infrastructure that we have from Speonk to Montauk, how those two play together. But I will certainly check and I can let you know.
Maybe we could just borrow a car from Greenport for a few weeks.
We get along well with the folks in Greenport, so.
I'm sure. I was going to say, I knew the village administrator there, Paul, at least in the village of Greenport, very well. I'd say, well, you can Paul a call too, he thinks.
Happy to.
But in any event, in all seriousness, that's, I think, what it comes down to. I think there's really that kind of an opportunity cost right now for us, where that's something that we take, that's a really difficult thing for us to do.
I would second that. Again, you probably are aware, but I may have been involved in this longer than you, Nick. We went from struggling to fill one car, and now we're filling a second car. And as the legislator said, now we're getting complaints that, the two cars, and each car has a capacity of 100 and some people. So we're, a couple of hundred people coming out every morning now. And I think that's why a third car would be great. And we have another question or comment from another member here.
Nick, can you speak on the River Avenue and Sag Road bridge replacement projects and how the capital funding is going to affect those moving forward?
So the good thing is that the designs for those bridges is funded in a prior program. So we'll certainly meet. We should be ready to meet actually pretty soon to go over the designs for those, which will definitely be good.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if we're looking to our capital budget to replace those, that's not good, right? Like we're not in a good place anymore. And I'm not even sure what grant funding is available. I've been working a lot with Becky Hansen in the town of East Hampton, because they have another bridge that we had to close because it was no longer safe. What's it called? Cranberry Hall Road.
Right.
So, which is in Amagansett, I believe. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have the answer, because I don't know what I really don't know when we start getting down to the nitty-gritty smaller projects. Like a lot of, we start with the biggest and we work our way down. Like bridge replacements are $10, $20, $30 million maybe, generally around that number, somewhere in that range. That, I'm not sure if we've started to look at what this means for if we were going to do that in a future capital program. But all the mitigating measures there are tough, right? I mean, you have to close a road because the bridge is no longer, doesn't even meet New York State DOT tonnage. Can't even meet 3 tons, and to bring it into 3-ton compliance, would cost it's almost $1 million a bridge, I think, or more. And it just takes one Amazon truck, it just takes one landscaping truck to knock it back out of compliance. And after an inspection, which is how we find these things, they can't even support 2 tons in some cases, which is very scary.
Nick, are you involved with the Montauk Highway Bridge that the county is replacing in Hampton Bays?
Yeah, so we've had some meetings with them because obviously it goes over our right of way, and we just have to make sure we protect our operation, right? Like we want to make sure there's space for double tracking, make sure that the gauge of it is appropriate so that our trains can fit. If they're going to work in the vicinity of our right of way, they need to have flagging for that. So, we gave them all our comments on their designs, but I haven't really heard too much in the
Okay.
So
Thanks.
the first 2 are your direct responsibility. The third one, the Hampton Bays one, the county is responsible for that one. Is that, just to clarify in my own head here?
So, bridges are covered under railroad law, and they're very old, and it depends on when the bridge was actually built, who the primary and secondary owners are. Generally speaking, we are responsible for the substructure of bridges. The road owner is responsible for the roadway that goes over it. So we will always inspect the bridges, and I have DOT inspection reports for all the bridges. They do their inspections, we do our inspections, and I'm sure you all do your inspections from on the roadway. We really view them as a joint effort. We aren't the road owner, but we are an owner of part of the bridge, right, the substructure. What happens on the road dictates the longevity of the structure itself. So when people aren't adhering to the weight guidelines on the bridge, it's going to wear down the bridge very quickly. These are wood and timber bridges. These are not meant for modern vehicular traffic. So that's just our perspective on it, generally speaking. So, we're funding designs. I think the designs, the total for that package is $4 or $5 million or something like that. We're spending money on it for sure, and we're hopeful that either us or some municipality, the state, the feds, we put together a design that somebody can take into construction. That is the idea.
Okay.
Who? I don't think that question has been answered yet.
Well, thank you for that, Nick. Are there any more questions? Michael on Zoom, do you have any other questions?
I do. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, thank you, Nick, for joining. I really appreciate it. So what variables factor into prioritization and what qualifies for more priority funding? I know you mentioned traffic. I'm assuming you put traffic on trains, but can you be more specific about what the MTA considers in terms of those factors?
So, are you referring to our capital program?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have our handy dandy 20-year needs over here in my little book. It's not little at all. It's about 200 pages with all the projects. Skion to Montauk was one of them that we looked at. There's that prioritization and how they looked at it and tried to compare them objectively, which would bring the greatest benefit for us and for everybody else. When I say prioritization right now, I'm solely talking about now that we have a $16.5 billion hole in our current capital budget, and we have 12 billion funds that we can allocate. What do we spend that money on? It's primarily going to be spent on making sure everything still runs, with the additional caveat of trying to preserve any federal fund match that we've already received. So again, replacing rail ties, switches, the interlocking, power, third rail, fleet, yards, shops, all those kind of things. And we have to defer a lot of backup house assets for ourselves that our employees have to work in because we don't have this funding available to us anymore. So if you want to see how they go through it, I can drop it in the link. There's some good timestamps they'll go over. They did a much better job explaining it than me. But I can drop some links in the chat if that's helpful for you all. And you can, on your own leisure or not at all, see how we're going about this process.
And thank you for that. And I guess my next question has to do with the fact that the reason why, this is really a question for clarification, the reason why there is a gap here in the budget to do more concerted projects like that is because of the congestion pricing not moving forward. Is that correct?
So in 2019, the New York State Legislature and the governor signed congestion pricing into law. As part of that, there were three main signatories. There was us, New York State DOT, and the federal, and I think it was the FDA. With us no longer having the support of New York State DOT, we can't move congestion pricing forward. We had assumed in our capital budget that we would have that funding available to us. The legal challenges against us, we felt very strong about our position, and recently one of the judges ruled in our favor on a portion of the case, or cases. But yeah, this is right now strictly because we were trying, and it was really important, I think, to everybody who worked on this at the state level, to give us a dedicated stream of funding rather than having our capital budget be variable program to program. Have a fixed number that's coming in every year, and then fine. There are some other things that come in, whether they're federal matches or New York State's contribution, New York City contribution, whatever it may be. But having that baseline, 15 billion, 16 billion, that takes a lot of uncertainty out of the process. So we just unfortunately had a lot of uncertainty re-injected into the process. And, while it's only been roughly 20 days, that may seem like a long time. We have hundreds of projects that we have to, even more maybe, that we have to reevaluate. So that, I know it's a long-winded explanation, but yes, that is the reason why right now I can't give you any really good answers about, what's going to happen with either procuring more diesel fleet or doing more infrastructure improvements between Spionk and Montauk, which would open up things for more service.
How did the process go before the projections of congestion pricing? What did that process look like where you were able to maybe gather what the funding would look like?
We will issue bonds. We will get money from New York State. We will get money from the federal government. New York City contributes a bit. So the pie chart was a bit smaller. So once you include congestion pricing, it gets considerably larger. But again, we're a $1.5 trillion asset in terms of everything. And, we have to expend a tremendous amount of money to keep that stuff in a state of good repair, which is unfortunately much of it isn't. And we're very upfront about that, especially the subway system. The subway system a lot of it's not. And a lot of that work is getting deferred, which is too bad, because that really impacts a lot of everyday riders. But, just to your point again, it was very variable year to year, or program to program, what we were actually going to get.
Is there any effects of the bipartisan infrastructure law that is allowing the MTA to have greater funding potential for rail upgrades and stuff? Because I know that was included in the...
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to go and look and speak with my counterpart who works on federal affairs and see what we got, because we certainly got money. But they're for specific projects, right? They're not just like, oh, here you go. I don't believe at least that they're like, here you go, we're allocating $200 million or $1 billion to the MTA to spend as it wishes. I'm not sure how that funding disbursement worked for us. I'm sure, as you said, we certainly got money. And we get FTA formula fund matches for a lot of projects. So I'll make a note of that, and I'll speak with my counterpart.
If you could send me something on what we're getting from the law, that would be helpful.
Sure.
So,
And Nick, we have one more question for you here, I think.
and then we'll go to public comment.
I'm glad that you guys are so interested in the MTA. This is great.
So it went good just till this question. So I'm the highway superintendent, and the bridge in Eastport River Bridge was closed for a long time. We spent $175,000 to cover the bridge. It was open for one day, and the railroad shut it down. Now, permits were submitted with the railroad because they had to have people present while we did the covering. Nothing was said. One day that bridge was open, and the town spent $175,000 with special materials, special wood to cover that bridge. It was open for one day. We want our wood. We want our wood back.
I hear you. I mean, that's horrible.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. That's really unfortunate. To me, it just sounds like the timing of the inspection. It might have been New York State DOT's inspection. And they come to us, which I think it was, they come to us and they say, this has a PIA red flag, which is prompt interim action. And, we're not given a choice in that. We have to close it. I wish there was a better way to, I'm not gonna blame one group or another. It's Amazon's fault or it's it's evident that the bridges just cannot support the road traffic that are going over them. So we need a 10-ton bridge or a 20-ton bridge, whatever it is. But I'm sure that bridge, because again, the inspections I think are annually, twice a year max, it probably was in a bad shape for a long time. And obviously it's too bad that happened. So perhaps in the future, I don't know if there are any other bridges, but perhaps in the future to avoid something like this, you just let us know ahead of time. And this is not to say that it's your fault by any means, because it certainly is not.
Well, let's be clear, there was a permit with the railroad because your people were present during the construction.
Yes, but those are not our bridge inspectors. Those are guys to probably do the flagging to make sure that everything is safe, right? I was more gonna suggest, just if you're gonna do projects on a bridge, just, keep them, maybe just reach out to me ahead of time so that we can actually just do an inspection, say, hey, like, it's in good shape, it can, or whatever, so that you don't make an investment like that in the future. Because I do understand what you're saying, but I feel terrible about it, because I know that you guys probably don't have a very large operating budget, and that's a huge hit to it. So, I can't, I'm not sure, there's nothing really that I can do about that, unfortunately, but all I can say is for the future, just if you want to reach out ahead of time for anything like that, where you think you may have impacts in that way, just let me know, and I'll ask our team to go out and inspect the bridge or whatever it may be, so that we don't run into a situation like that again.
All right, thank you.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Just to follow up on that, Nick, so what was the timeline on that? Like, when was the bridge closed? How long has it been closed? And
It's been a while, and again, that's because, we don't have the money sitting around to replace a bridge like this. I'd have to look a legislator and get back to you. For context, we decided to fund the designs for these bridges, I think in 2018, and it's 2024 that we're actually designing replacements that either us, you, whoever else. That gives you a little bit of an idea of how long these processes take to play out. And like, we're not talking about billions of dollars or hundreds of millions or tens of millions. We're talking about, probably less than $10 million to do all these designs. So I'll look and I'll see what the timeline was. I mean, New York State DOT, they also have the inspection reports. I'm not sure if it was them who reported the issue
all the way
or
around.
somebody else, but in any event, I'll look and I'll get back to you.
thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Now, we don't have anyone that's filled out a card for the public comment period.
We still have Jay Fitzpatrick on the agenda. I just want to make sure there's nobody from DOT here.
Yeah, I just wanted to address if there was anybody with the railroad, any questions about the railroad before Nick ended.
If I could just say one last thing about River Avenue, I was trying to think about who it was in Councilman, I think it was you. You had brought to my attention that there was some bad signage out there with River Avenue, so I actually was in the area on Thursday and I drove past it and we had just installed a bunch of new signage there. So I know certainly not, doesn't replace, aren't gonna replace the bridge, but hopefully, goes to your point, and it was well taken.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the response there. Let's just keep all the public comments for the end. I want to make sure we get our presentation.
Sure. And as I said, there's no one that's asked to speak about the railroad, so we can.
Okay.
So Nick, appreciate your attending. You're welcome to continue to attend, but I think your portion is complete for today.
Yeah.
Thank you, I'll hang out for a little bit, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
And I don't think we've yet identified anybody on Zoom from the DOT. Kevin, can you confirm that for us?
No one said anything yet.
He had I asked him to put out an inquiry to everyone in the queue, and no one has responded, so I think we can presume the DOT is not in attendance.
Yeah, I sent the second one even and no response.
Okay.
Thank you. We can move to Jay Fitzpatrick. Just we'll have to make sure that Jay, you keep your presentation for at least 10-15 minutes.
So he's online or is he here? Okay. Come on up to the podium, Barbara, and that would be great.
Are the people in the back still having trouble hearing?
No? Okay, good. My name is Barbara Fair. I ran into Jay Fitzpatrick on an off chance, and we sort of got together talking. We're going to give a presentation, or he is, today, that is a kind of a moonshot. But we think that in view of the difficulty that we're seeing, even to move the dial a little bit, I mean, you have to appreciate all the really blood, sweat, and tears that go into trying to make any improvement here. We're going to show you a moonshot, but given the report from the Long Island Railroad, the money is in the billions. But again, we're moved by the fact that the congestion on the major roads is spilled over into the community. It's affecting everybody's quality of life. And so we're going to make the big idea. We're going to give you a big idea. No disrespect to all the little pieces that will always continue to have to be in place.
I love your enthusiasm.
All right.
I'll try to speed up the presentation. My name is Jay Fitzpatrick. I'm a full-time resident of Southampton Village. I'd like to give you a little bit of background.
Speak into the microphone.
You can't hear it? Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm a retired commercial architect. I've done work all over the world. I've designed probably 15 million square feet and developed. I've designed Bloomingdale, Saks. In Europe, I did specialty stores on every high street. I've designed shopping centers in Asia and mega malls in South America. And I know nothing about traffic, but I have some ideas that might help us out a little bit. I have some stuff I was going to read, but I think I'm just going to put it aside and show you these big ideas. And you're probably not going to do any of them, but if we get a germ of an idea, a spark of enthusiasm from any of you to take something forward, I think it's well worth watching and seeing what we're going to do. The first thing we got to consider here is what the problem is. And the problem is the rub. And this is the rub. As you can see, I'm going to zoom in and, well, oh, there we go. Okay. This is where County Road 39, Southampton bypass is coming south with 2 lanes. Hampton Road is coming east with 1 lane, and Flying Point is coming north with 1 lane. So that's 4 lanes coming into 1 lane. Why does it keep going back? Huh? There you go. Okay. This is what it basically looks like, but if we do anything to County Road 39 north, I think that's going to cause a lot of disruption. Although we can get rid of the blinking lights, we can take other measures to make the traffic go faster, but as long as it comes here, it's all going to be tied up. So this is the problem. There are other feeders that come in here that cause traffic tie-ups further on, but I think until we solve this, we're going to be nowhere. This is me sitting on Hampton Road a couple weeks ago. You can see the traffic. It's a little bit foggy, but it's bumper to bumper all the way to East Hampton. And meanwhile, behind me, this is the rest of the people waiting to get where I am. All right. These are the 3 big ideas. Whether or not any of them will ever come to fruition, the real reason is we're trying to get some spark of enthusiasm from you guys to look outside the box. We're going to maybe relieve the AM and PM traffic when congested on Hill Street, relieve the PM and AM traffic congested on 39 and 27, work with 2 existing underutilized corridors without disturbing 27, and provide a secondary emergency evacuation route off at the South Fork. The 3 presentations, Meglev, Skyway, and High Voltage. Meglev is, an idea, but after we just heard from the LIRR, they have no money. But if we could replace the diesel spewing locomotives with friendly Maglev locomotives. That would be a big improvement. Provide a more efficient service-oriented road, and then introduce a 2-lane on-grade east-west highway. I'm going the other way, but
I think we want to have 12 click.
yeah, maybe you should do it.
There. You should be the clicker.
Give you a nod with it.
All right.
Thank you.
But the
Am I in the right one? That's the right one.
the yellow line is the LI is the 27, and the red line is the LIRR, and it's about 21 miles all in total. Next one. It has been said that the LIRR is the most underutilized infrastructure on Long Island. This train was sitting outside my house this morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, running, and it ran and it sat there till 4:30 in the morning. And a couple of years ago, running and spewing all the toxic. So a couple of years ago, because this goes on all summer. So a couple of years ago, I called and I said, "Why is that train sitting there, running? Why don't you turn it off?" And whoever I spoke to said, "Well, we can't turn it off because we can't start it again. Because to start it, we need a heavy piece of equipment, and that's only in Hampton Bays. So that's why they leave it running all day long." This is a shot of the LIR corridor during the Civil War. Next slide. And there it is today. So you can see it hasn't changed much. Next slide. This is what it could be in the future. But it'll happen. Someday this will happen. It won't happen on my watch, but it will happen. We do this, we put it up, and do a nice highway underneath running east and west, and that would solve all of our problems, I think. Or at least cut traffic on 27 by 50%. Next slide. Skyway to the end would be a new 2-lane and plus an emergency skyway with the sound and weather canceling dome elevated over the existing LIR corridor. So if they have no money, we could build the highway over them and they can just do what they want or do nothing. Next slide. This is a typical in the station. This shows the highway coming over the LIRR and the diesel engine underneath. Next. This is the on view. And you can see right in front of the train are the ballards, which would be hydraulic, which would go up and down and allow traffic to go through or stop traffic, as opposed to those old signs that used to come up and down that seem to break. Next. This is the same shot, but with a dome, which could be along the whole highway, or it could be just portions, which would be sound canceling and weather canceling. So picture this, if you could have a highway where you would have no snow, and you could just zoom these cars right through all the way out to Montauk. Next one. This is a view. I snuck an electric train in here, maybe they'll get the hint. But this is a typical view of what is existing right now. Next slide. This is the highway over it, which would be 2 lanes east in the AM and 2 lanes west in the PM. And there's an emergency lane there on a third maintenance lane. We could disguise this with all the landscaping you can see. Next slide. Or we could put the dome over top, cancel all the noise. The dome could be a solar collecting the zone, so it would light itself. So I think this would be something that could possibly do if the LIR doesn't want to spend money on their trains. Next slide. This is looking south. There's the rub at the very top of the screen. Somehow we have to get onto this. And there's the LIR going across. If we built this new highway, next slide, you could have an on-ramp on the right going over the highway and then connecting with the new highway and the other ramp coming off to get everybody back on 39 to go home. So when you come here in the morning, you have an opportunity to go straight and take the hub, or you can take the new LIR corridor. Next slide. The high voltage corridor. Right now there's a high voltage power line, such as those operated by PSE&G Long Island, that run through private properties, which are known as power line easements. Next slide. The blue represents, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of weak there, but the blue represents the power line, and about where that green dot is, it crosses over the highway 27, goes northeast, and then down east towards the Hampton Airport. This is a corridor that exists that I think is being underutilized. Next slide. This is what it looks like. It's about 60 foot wide, and the only thing that's in it are these big towers that carry the high voltage. Next slide. We could take that and put a 3-lane highway in there. Next slide. We could bury all the electrical lines on the side. Next slide. And then we have it completely open, and we now have a highway. Next slide. So it could be 2 lanes in the AM going east. We could have the retractable hydraulic bollards, which would keep 1 lane separate. Next slide. Or we could have 3 lanes going east. Next slide. In the evening, those same 3 lanes come back and everybody's going west. Next slide. We could do sound barriers. Next slide. Or we could do a complete enclosure, which would be noise canceling and weather canceling all the way to Montauk if we wanted to. Next slide. This is showing the on-off ramp. Next. This is the existing location. Next. And there's the ramp coming from basically a little bit past the 7-Eleven, coming across the highway, joining where the power line is, and the top ramp is the one coming off. I think that's it. Next slide. That's all, folks.
Thank you.
So I dropped a lot of stuff out of here, but because he told me I only had 15 minutes, so thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I share a little bit about that. The town did do a study of maglev in about 2004, and I just mentioned to Tom that I think we could maybe find that report somewhere in the engineering offices. And in our town comp plan, one of the 3 large impact strategies that were proposed then was a roadway with limited on and off adjacent to the railroad tracks. Not above the railroad tracks, but adjacent to it. So not dissimilar, from your idea. So just maybe we may get to those. Michael may want to speak to those. We may, we've looked at some of those in the past or variations, and the county and others may be looking at those going forward.
That's all we're trying to do is get some sort of out of the box.
Right.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for coming and presenting. I think it gives us some thoughts as to how we should envision the future of 39. Obviously, the county is pursuing the study, not the town, but we are, playing a role as a partner and trying to advise and, play a role in helping to craft whatever design the county comes up with. And it's going to need community input. And we appreciate you as a member of the community coming out and demonstrating sort of what you envision based on your talents and expertise. So we really appreciate it.
Okay.
Tom, did you have time to Easter East and West Traffic Law?
Well, Donna, you may remember, was the one when I presented a couple meetings ago about the traffic volumes. She had asked about eastbound and westbound, so I broke it out, but she's not here tonight. So I'm thinking maybe we save that for a meeting. I thought she was going to be here, but obviously something happened. So I think it'd be fine if we wanted to just hold off on that till she's here. There's nothing timely about it. So.
Okay. And do you want to do the 3Es then?
Sure, we could do a little bit on that, just a couple of slides.
What about the DOT?
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Michael, we do have someone from the DOT here. You folks are from the DOT. I asked you if you were from the LIRR. Sorry about that. Miscommunication. Come on up, and we're gonna let you introduce yourselves, and if you have anything you'd like to say, and we will ask you some questions that we might have for you. So when I asked you if you were from the LIRR, I should have asked you, are you from the DOT?
Hi everyone, I'm Mohammad Islam. I'm traffic signal operation engineer, and with me.
You gotta lift the microphone. That's it.
Can you hear me now? My name is Mohammad Islam, and I'm with DOT. I'm signal operation engineer, and with me.
And I am. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
I am Jessica Welcome. I'm a traffic control supervisor in traffic safety and mobility.
If you guys have any specific question to us, we can take note of it. We are new to this project, so I don't have that much background on it, but we will carry the message to our supervisors.
Sure. Michael, do you want to start? You have anything you want to?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for joining us. I just really wanted to, hold on one second. I really just wanted to, first and foremost, thank you for being here. Obviously, as you saw from the presentation, we have a significant project ahead of us with the County Road 39 study, corridor study, that will eventually propose some sort of project. This is a very significant project that we're going to have to launch into. As you know, County Road 39 is also New York State 27, Sunrise Highway, so and then it turns into 39. Do you know if you will be playing a role in some way on helping us with the 39 project? Are you aware of any of the traffic issues that are ongoing on 27? And if so, how can we get funding for any projects that we initiate?
So does it have any traffic signal? If any study is pending with us, we can help you on it. And any easy solution like signal timing changes, we can do it based on the study. But funding wise, I'm not sure. So I have to follow up on that.
Our town engineer has a question for you folks.
Hi, Mohammed. I'm Tom. We've probably emailed a bunch of times. One of our other concerns is the signal timing on State Route 24 in Flanders.
Yes.
We do experience tremendous backups there across the entire length of 24 from the second traffic light all the way back to 105. It's just about gridlocked there every morning. First light's okay. Second light backs them up all the way.
First one is at which intersection?
Let me grab that cross street.
Oak.
The second one's Oak.
Oak.
Yeah.
Oak and Long Neck.
Long Neck is the second light. Oak is the first light as you're heading east.
Okay.
So yeah, it backs up from Long Neck all the way to 105 Cross River Drive on a very regular basis.
And like any time of the day, which is bad?
About 5:30 to 9 o'clock.
AM.
Thereabouts.
AM.
What about PM?
PM's not too bad. No,
Okay.
PM occasionally it'll back up from Long Neck back to the east, but I haven't seen that recently. Last summer did it a number of times. I think we talked. But yeah, since then that's been okay, and Sears Bellow in 24 has been okay as well. I haven't seen any issues with that intersection. But that 5:30 to 9, like I got videos on my other phone of just standing cars the whole way.
Okay. Do you guys have any traffic study for those intersections?
No, we haven't. No.
Okay. Okay. All right. So before changing any time or anything, I think I worked with you before.
Yeah, I'll shoot you another email about that stuff.
Yeah, send
And
me an
they
email.
were installed in about 2015, so I would think you'd have relatively recent, records on the installation and whatever other traffic, data you may have had from then.
Is Andrew still working with you guys, or he retired?
No, he retired.
He retired. Okay, cool. So I think you're my POC at this point, right?
Yes.
Point of contact.
Yeah. So we'll look into the volumes, and if timing can be changed, we will do it as early as possible.
And so questions about funding and things like that, you wouldn't be in the position to answer those, right? Okay, all right. Is Rich still there? Rich Cousin? Is he still there? Okay, tell him I said hello. But unless there's any other questions for these folks? No.
I have a question. Do you ever recommend anything else besides lights? For example, roundabouts where the traffic can keep moving as opposed to coming to a complete stop. I mean, the lights along County Road 39 are really a major impediment to the flow of traffic in the morning and the late afternoon. If there was a way to keep the traffic moving, there are roundabouts in Riverhead. The traffic slows down, of course, but it actually keeps moving. The frustration is when you get to these red lights and everything has to come to a halt, and then once the light changes, there's a slow, acceleration of the traffic. But it really is a huge impediment, and I would say the lights are some of the things that drive people, the craziest, because again, it's coming to a complete stop. I can think of the intersection of County Road 39 at the college site and Shinnecock Hills Golf Club. Also, the light in Watermill is really a major problem. I mean, there are just certain areas where it just becomes a choke point, and that really is impeding the flow of traffic. So again, lights are not always the answer. Sometimes it's the elimination of a light that is the answer.
Yeah, you're right. So for future projects, we always look that can we install roundabout. But roundabout has a certain volume capacity.
Yeah.
Signal has more, actually, believe it or not. Yeah. So the good thing is traffic is moving for the roundabout, but signal can handle large volume. But for future projects, we always look that the signal is not our first priority. So we always look into the roundabout option too.
I have one more question actually. Have you at all looked at the idea of having, I think what is maybe commonly known as a zipper, so that at certain hours of the day when there's rush hour going east, there are more lanes to go east, and then they lay out again like a zipper. I've seen these machines on bridges in different cities where they lay out sort of like a divider of some type of material. And then again, the machine can retract them, and you move it so that again you have more lanes traveling in the direction of travel that you need at certain times of the day, and then it reverses at the end of the day so that you have more lanes than that in this case would be going west. So I don't know if you ever look at that, but that would be something. Yeah. I think I've seen it in urban centers, especially on bridges. And I think that would be something that, again, could be looked at for County Road 39 because, again, it doesn't have to re-engineer the road except to the extent that you have to have the mechanical system to lay out and then retract the dividers so that you create the flow of traffic patterns at different times of the day.
We will let you off the hook on that because that concern or opportunity is up on a county road. So you folks don't have to answer that one. We'll save that one for the county engineers, I think.
If I just put off of the issue of roundabouts, though, Supervisor Moore did provide a couple of sheets for us that she worked presented today about roundabouts. Let's see if I can just share my screen really quick. Do you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so the first 5 pages of this consists of a letter from New York State regarding their evaluation of 2 intersections in Watermill, which includes Scuttle Hole Road and Little Cobb Road. Here's Little Cobb Road. Here's the proposed circle, as well as Scuttle Hole Road. Here it is currently. And then with the proposed traffic circle. This is their initial sketches. The state indicated that roundabouts in those locations do have merit. And then the next 3 pages here consist of a letter from New York State regarding their evaluation of the intersection at Route 24 and County Road 80, that's Montauk Highway to Hampton Bays Diner, as well as their initial sketch for a roundabout layout at that intersection. And the state indicated that a roundabout in that location also has merit. I don't know, and this is the supervisor's word, she doesn't know if action can be taken, if the town can work with the state to look at this. And the last piece here is something Charlie McCarl, our highway superintendent, I don't know if you want to speak to this, Charlie, but you and Mayor looked at this a couple days ago, where you provided some thoughts on how to adjust the circle on Noyak and Noyak Mill Beach Road to alleviate traffic backup and promote safety there. But it does seem that these traffic circles do contain there and has been deemed to be a possible solution for some of the areas that I mentioned. So if we could get New York State to continue that dialogue with us for those areas, that would be very helpful.
Yeah. As I said, like we are not opposed to the roundabout idea. When new permits comes to us with the idea of roundabout, we always like to promote it. If the volume allows for it, and there is no right of way acquisition problem. Like a roundabout needs a lot of area on the site. So if the right of way acquisition is not a big problem, then and the volume is not a problem, then we promote roundabout. Nothing against it.
Okay. Now, if I can get kind of back to your expertise and per the mayor's comments there, I know Tom had suggested a couple of intersections, a couple of signals that you should look at. I would like to say that the one at St. Andrews, where it enters at the where the village line is, that's on 27A. And as you heard earlier, that signal's being set on blinking now every afternoon. So on 24, the problem primarily is in the morning coming east. I think the problem primarily is going west in the afternoon at the signal at 27A and St. Andrews. So that might be another one that you could, take another look at. So check the timings, check, it's not,
So
going out of
27,
sync.
if I got it correctly, 27A and St. Andrews
St. Andrews Road.
Yes.
The very western edge of the village.
Well, yeah, it's
correct?
actually just opposite the Shinnecock Reservation.
Okay.
Right.
It runs on flash in the afternoon?
It's a fully operating signal, except that it's being set on flash in the afternoon by the police department to facilitate westbound traffic.
But then we have to post police officers there. So it works only when we have the flashing in conjunction with police officers to help direct the traffic.
Yeah.
So I'm just suggesting, and I remember when I used to work for the town full time, that signal seemed to be very problematic, very inconsistent. Worked with Andrew. It seemed to be very inconsistent. So you may just want to take a look at that. Maybe there's a way in the afternoon to extend that westbound green, or or extend the east-west green, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look into it.
We know that County Road 39 is a county road, and they're doing a whole study, but I think what the mayor was asking you is are you familiar with, or have you ever recommended a device that changes the roadway to a 3-lane road or 2-lane road at different times of the day?
No, to my knowledge, we don't do that.
So nowhere in New York do we have that? Like in Washington DC, have you ever seen where?
In Washington DC, I saw it. Yep, you're right.
But we don't have that in New York anyway.
They used to do it on the Cuomo Bridge.
No, they
before
did it on the bridge in New York. Absolutely, they did.
Long Island area. So to my knowledge, it's not there.
It was on the bridge
was.
before
That's
they
correct.
redid the
Those
bridge.
are kind of controlled circumstances, but again, I think engineers, you folks, and folks from the county have to give us, your insight, their insight into zipper lanes. My understanding is they're generally in very limited controlled areas, entering airports, on bridges, places like that. But I think that's one of the things we've talked about looking at more deeply. And Chief, I think you were around when we did the cones up and down 39. Was that about 2008 or somewhere around there?
Did it a few times.
That was a heck of a project, but maybe there's a better way to do it now.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So, Michael, I would suggest that maybe we want to go to public comment since we're kind of coming up on our deadline.
Yeah, and just if somebody doesn't mind timing each comment, if anybody has a cell phone or anything to use, just to time each comment 3 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Thanks, Paul. Paul is going to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, first up would be Rachel Verno from the Watermill CAC.
I sent an email from the CAC, more in depth. So thank you all again. I'm speaking on behalf of the Watermill CAC. That's inside. Oh, I'm speaking on behalf of the Watermill CAC. I don't really know what else to do. But you're cutting into my 3 minutes, so I promise to be fast. Just thank you all again, and thank you for the public the opportunity to speak during the public comment period. There are a couple of developments since your first initial meeting. The intersection of Lower 7 and Hedda Pond with McLean. You had mentioned, Charlie, maybe the potential for a roundabout on the back roads. Our CAC was hopeful that the town would consider sharing, since there seems to be plans or concept plans for the back roads, if that would be possible to share that with the community so that the residents can start to get a sense of how those back roads are going to be looked at. There was a time we were trying to get commuter traffic off the back roads back onto the highway. Not really a reality anymore. But while we're making improvements or changes to get traffic flowing, are we in turn going to have more traffic use those back roads as we alleviate some of the traffic? So I think it would be helpful for the residents to sort of get a sense of that. We'd also ask that, you just mentioned how expensive the speed monitors were, but we'd like to get speed monitors.
Excuse me, folks. Thank you.
We'd ask that you consider putting speed monitors on 27 at either end of the Hamlet Center. No one's going 30 miles an hour. I recognize that there's limited resources, but maybe we could try that out. And we'd also ask the town to consider a uniform speed limit of 30 miles an hour, both on the back roads and on 27 through the entire corridor, starting at the intersection of Flying Point through Scuttle Hole. There's an enormous amount of development going on, including a workforce housing project, which is going to be 35 units right on the north side of 27 where the Audi dealership is. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about widening 27, how that's going to affect people in the morning making a left turn. We have Willow Road, 2 big projects that are coming on Willow Road, which right now have nothing going on. Marijuana dispensary, a medical building. People are going to be making left turns off of that road. And Scuttle Hole, you have the Scuttle Hole Business Park. A lot of people there. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, next up, Frank Horowitz.
Hi, everyone. Frank Horowitz. I live on Lee Avenue, otherwise known as parking lot from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I came at the suggestion of Michael, who campaigned on improving traffic, and he's been a great resource in talking me through, is it county, is it town, is it the village? But at the end of the day, all politics are local. And let me replay what happened since I've been involved in the traffic in Southampton Village for the past 2 years. We met with the mayor and the police chief. We asked for, on Lee Avenue, I raised my hand and said, could we get 2 speed bumps, radar signs, and they agreed. And that was really awesome. The previous administration tried a 3-week, correct me if I'm wrong there, a 3-week trial period of having police be on Hill Avenue and really preventing left-hand turns. I remember during those 3 weeks, it probably rained 5 nights, and these poor guys were out there. I mean, I really felt badly for them. And then I understand that the new administration, the trustees and the mayor and the police force did not like it, and that went away. Then we got the speed bumps, Then we got the speed bumps and the radar sign. I'm compiling an email list. It's going to be 100 voters, and you're gonna hear from us because we can't live like this. This is my neighbor. There are pregnant women on my street. What would happen? if someone needed to give birth between 4 and 7. So I'm not kidding. It's a catastrophe. I don't want to say anything about any other incident, but we have to do something. We just do. I don't know if any of you have seen it. So yeah. If I have any time left, this is my neighborette.
Okay. I am his neighbor. I have lived happily on Lee Avenue since 1940. I was 9 years old when my father bought the house. Across the street from us, there were 67 acres of totally undeveloped property. Okay. It's obviously expanded. And now we have the traffic problem. And it is a horror. I just don't know where to begin or where to end, and how, with which enormous problem do we deal. He has tried a million things, and everybody, and there is no progress. And we compete with the other 3 streets. We probably have the worst traffic problem of the 4 streets that lead onto Hill Street. I don't know how to solve it. Maybe the mayor has a suggestion. Well, he has suggestions, I know, we've talked about it. But there are 10 houses to my knowledge on my side of the street. There are 10 houses to my knowledge on the other side of the street. It's a horror, an absolute horror. And I think we take the worst beating of all of the 4 streets that connect.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Fred, could we get your last name, please?
HOROWITZ, 100 Lee.
Frank, we got you. I was looking for your neighbor's last name.
Gaffron, Gaffron.
Everybody knows that.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's a one name guy. Help us, please. Seriously, I don't know if it's county, town, village, but it's scary. And they play chicken with you if you're riding your bike or dog. It's really
Lee is within the village, but we are trying to develop solutions that will solve, the problems on the side roads.
Making Lee Avenue as pretty a street as
We
it
have
once.
to move on to the next one.
Thank you. Barbara Fair?
I
You already spoke, Barbara? We got you. That was it? Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Okay. I don't see a name. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There it is. Laurel Majinski? Laurel, come on up.
My name is Laurel Majinski, and I live on the west end of Millstone Brook Road, and it's become a nightmare. My husband and I leave our driveway, and I leave with a prayer on my lips. The traffic is unbelievable. Sometimes we sit there almost 10 minutes in the morning. The sign says no commercial traffic between 3 and 7. All that goes by are tour buses, cement trucks, Amazon trucks, parcel post trucks. It's horrible. I went to a meeting 2 years ago when Sabonic Road was people were really very angry. It was a large meeting. And the highway superintendent popped in and popped out and told the people that the police were well aware of it and there would be police presence on the road. I never see a police car. Five Corners has stop signs on Island Creek, Millstone, West Neck, and North McGee Street. They don't stop at them. I sit in my driveway with my signal going on to go into my driveway, whether I'm going east or west. They flip me the bird, they blow their horn, or they pass me on either side. I really feel, you think they're all feeding to County 39. And I don't know why there isn't some sort you don't like traffic lights, but with that new highway that put in a few years ago, the cars on the inner side on 39, you can't make a left-hand turn. And in the morning, if I have an appointment and I have to leave early, they're all making left turns. There's no police there at all. I mean, the town could make a lot of money because they're all making left turns and they're all either heading down to White Street or they're heading down Millstone Brook Road. You think I call County Road 39 the highway of death, but mine is getting to be like that too. The fumes in this hot weather with the humidity, they come all over my property. I have central air and my doors and windows are closed and I can still smell it coming in. It's a horrible situation, and someone is going to be killed. The other day, there were 3 women walking 2 dogs, big dogs. The cars were trying to go around them. I mean, it's a stupid place to walk. It's a beautiful road, Millstone Brook Road. I've lived there almost my whole life. And it's being ruined by big cement trucks going through and people carrying, trucks carrying heavy equipment. It isn't right. You're really ruining a beautiful vista area. And I happen to feel right now that this whole meeting is just an exercise in futility because I have heard that over 600 cars go by that road every day. And no one has done anything about it at all. So I hope you take into consideration that we're paying a lot of taxes on that road. And something has to be done. You need more police presence up there. I mean, using the excuse that nobody can be pulled over because they're speeding, to me, sounds very lame. So I hope you listen to me and there's some thought in protecting the people who live on that road because it's very dangerous. There's been accidents on that road, and at night, during the wee hours of the morning, it seems to be the alcoholic path. And then when the police come and they have an accident and hit a tree, they say a deer ran out in front of them, which isn't really true. The deer wasn't there, it was them behind the wheel.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I agree with you. I live on West Neck. I use 5 Corners all the time. I go down Millstone. It's very bad. Was an accident a couple days ago. I live on West Neck, and I agree with you 100%. It is very bad. Cars, the cement trucks, the tractor trailers use that because they don't want to sit on County Road 39. And a few days ago, there was a Mercedes in the weeds down there on Barker's Island.
Yes. Well,
And-
we were coming home from church, and we had a big Mercedes,
Yes.
and we made a left
Yeah.
turn, and there was a truck
We're
that
gonna look into it for you.
was carrying it was not a
Yeah.
labeled truck, I mean, a
Yeah.
commercial truck. It was Sunday
Yeah,
morning.
his
It was
was a
early.
police car up there a couple weeks ago, writing tickets at the stop signs. I saw him.
He dropped a whole bunch of chain link fence in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick it up, and we didn't see it, and we damaged our car tremendously.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And the police said they couldn't do anything about debris in the road.
Yeah.
And would you mind sending us an email to follow up? As I
You know,
asked
I'm
at the
legally
beginning?
blind and I cannot use the computer anymore.
Okay, well, we have your notes. We'll certainly include it in our attempts to,
Okay, thank you.
develop strategies.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Debbie Harrington.
I'm Debbie Harrington. I live on 33 Overlook Drive. I spoke last time about the intersection of McGee and County Road 39. And I asked if anybody knew what was going on there, and everybody had a blank look on their face, like nobody had any idea what the issue was or if there was a problem. And then I find out after that meeting that there's been a study done on that intersection, 2021, 2022, with projections for 2023. And all this money spent on this, and not one thing was ever done to help this whole intersection work. And I don't understand why we're doing these studies with doing nothing about them once we get them. I mean, I know money's involved. But one question I have is, with all this infrastructure, with the government, all this infrastructure money, have Long Island gotten any of it? You know, like, it's like we're stagnant. We can't do anything on Long Island. We have no money. Did we get any money from the federal government? Does anybody know?
We got money from the state, not from the federal government.
How come we didn't get, Long Island got nothing from the federal government?
So it probably went to the county.
Do you have to ask for it to get it? Obviously, we need money to do anything.
There are different revenue sources, different kinds. I'm not sure when you say from the federal government, there is money that comes to
Pete
Long Island.
Buttigieg is
but
a huge infrastructure thing in the whole country, and here we sit with no money. I don't know. But anyway, then first of all, thank you for putting up the stop sign at the gas station and the no parking signs. But they're still coming and blocking the traffic lanes. They're coming right across, blocking the thoroughfare, straight, and the right lane. So if you could put a sign up that says, please do not block traffic lanes, that might be helpful. And in that study, there's 4 alternative things we could do. Number 4 is my favorite, widening McGee Street so that the through traffic going north can get around the bend to get to the light. Now you cannot get to the light coming north. The other day, I had a man swerve at me 3 times because I wanted to go straight. Almost hit me 3 times, messing with me because he thought I was going to take his spot to go left. And I'm saying to him, I'm going straight, So there needs to be a widening of the bend coming north on McGee. There's only a very short access to the northbound lane straight. The stop sign is nice, but the exiting gas station vehicles are still blocking the traffic lanes trying to get into the left turn or westbound lane. A sign that specifically says do not block traffic lanes need to be put up along with the stop sign. And like I said, why conduct a study and pay thousands of dollars and nothing is done with the information gathered? I think I said all that.
Could you hand that in to us?
Excuse me?
Could you hand your notes?
Yeah, but I sent the study to the website for the mitigation committee. It's a huge study.
I'm not on that.
Okay.
Website. I'm just filling in. But I want you to see it.
And all of the information was northbound, southbound was E or F rated, meaning it doesn't move. It's an F. And they were even talking about on the other side of the north side of the intersection, making a turning radius because the big tractor trailers can't make those turns in and out of there. So I just don't.
We will look for your email again. I do not see it on the list we've compiled, but we'll look for your email again.
I sent an email with my notes from what I said at that meeting, and I sent the study.
So if we'll definitely take a look at that, Ms. Harrington. You did reach for 3 minutes, but I do think, if I recall, and Tom, you might know the answer to this question, was the McGee and 39 study, that was a county study, correct?
The study was prepared by the town of Southampton, was submitted to the county for review, and was developed in conjunction with the proposed development of Star Aqua Center at the CPF property that was purchased. So the developers of the Aqua Center, they have the study, and I believe that we're going to require them to implement it when that development proceeds.
That's the other thing. That was approved. How can you approve something like that when the traffic doesn't move?
They're preparing to submit an application, I believe, to the planning board. It has not been approved.
The Aqua Center?
The Aqua Center.
And then also there's the new potato barn. That's not in operation yet, but what happens when that starts doing,
so nobody knows.
I think we've got your comments. We're gonna look
Okay.
again for your email.
but it needs to be looked at. The study was done and then nothing was done.
We will follow up on that. Angelica Morrow. And I also see Charles Reed on here. I don't know if you're both speaking or one.
No, I'm speaking on behalf of.
Okay.
He's my
my fiance,
Okay.
who got hit and killed on Middle Line in January. Sorry. So I had spoken to Councilman Liciali in April. His mother and I called and spoke to him, and he was able to put up a speed limit sign on Middle Line, but more towards Roses Grove, going eastbound. And I just wanted to inquire about having one going westbound, more from Millstone to like 14 Hills Court, because that's really, really where, even today, my mother and I were driving down that road on the way here, and like she was going 30 miles an hour, and somebody went around us, just flying down it. And a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine saw a couple of like probably 10-year-olds walking on the side of the road, and she pulled over and told them they needed to not walk there. And she said that a really big truck came and was really close to them, and she felt like if she wasn't there, it could have been something, another accident. And just if there's anything else, like more signs or something that could be put up to avoid future fatalities. But I wanted to thank Mr. Lacialo for being so responsive and getting that done so quickly.
Thank you for coming in.
being here.
Thank you for coming in. Albert Turkul? Turkuli, sorry.
Hi, I'm Albert Turkuli. I live at 127 Lumber Lane at Maple in Bridgehampton, and I wanted to bring to everyone's attention the safety issues and concerns at that intersection. My wife and I witnessed a collision last week where a car moving east on Maple at the stop sign was hit by a car on Lumber turning left. The problem is the stop sign on Maple is such that the neighbor's privet, a car has to move up a full length of that car to see beyond the privet of the property that's neighboring that sign. We see numerous accidents that we're amazed that there haven't been more collisions and accidents, and I think speed bumps would help. There's no stop sign on Lumber Lane going either direction. It's just on Maple, and I would really hope that you could look into this before something really serious happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Deasing?
Good afternoon.
Before Jay speaks, could I just ask, how many more speakers do we have signed up?
That's the last, this gentleman's the last person.
Okay, then we'll move to online. Thank you.
Couple people hands up.
Okay. We have a couple folks that didn't fill out a card but would like to speak.
We have very limited time. If let's get to some of the folks who've been waiting online, and if we have some extra time, we will get to the folks who did not fill out a card.
Good.
Okay, thank you all first off for your service. This is incredibly important. I think you're getting the message that no action is not an option, because no action means no solution. And we've been dealing with this for 30 years, and it's time to do some things. And they may not be perfect, but we've got to take chances. We've got to start making changes, because this is our lives, and we can't keep screwing around with it. So I believe, first off, New York State, since 1994, has allowed video speeding tickets and video red light tickets. They do them in Islip. They do them in Manhasset. So we need to find out a way to do them here, and we need to find it quickly. That's just not an option to have people believing that they can speed in our community on a regular basis on any road that they want to. And it starts with County Road 39. And actually, if we cut the speed on there, last year alone, there were 409 accidents on that road, more than one a day. And you wonder why the traffic isn't moving. You wonder why the traffic is going to the back roads. That road doesn't work anymore. It wasn't designed for the kind of traffic that it has. And I think we need to now take the bull by the horns and change that. We need to make that road work better. And so the first thing we have to do is slow things down on that road, because most of the accidents happen in the shoulder period when cars are sneaking along at 65 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden someone pulls out of Tuckahoe Lane. And guess what happens? I don't think you need to have much of an imagination. So that's the first thing that we need to do. We need to video enforce our speeding and our red lights and maybe U-turns and maybe some other things. I'm not sure exactly how broad we can get, but we need to do that. And then the second thing that nobody's talked about is we have to change the development patterns of the East End. First of all, we can't put more businesses up on County Road 39. We've got to actually start buying property up there and calming down that road. And then the second thing we can't do anymore is we've got to get housing here for people who work here. And if we don't do that, we're never going to solve this problem. And the way you're going to do that is through Community Preservation Fund, through Community Housing Fund, but changing your zoning. So, Councilman Pell, Bill Manger, the village, the town need to work together, and we can't have any more Watermill crossings. I mean, we're talking about light problems in Watermill. Guess what? You can't take that light out, because how are those $1 million condos, actually $3 million condos, those people aren't going to be happy if they can't get to the beach. So I think that we've got some work to do in terms of what we can do in the short run. And then in the long run, we've got to fix our zoning, and we've got to fix the way we allow this community to be developed.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Okay, that's the last card, but I believe we have a gentleman that wants to speak.
We have this room, just so you know, we've been told by public safety that we need to be conscious of the room because we have our public safety staff that is working over hours. So I would like to just take this last comment, and then we have to shift to the online to see if anybody online has any questions or comments.
Sir?
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Laurie. I live at the foot of Lee Avenue and Ox Pasture Road. I'm going to take 2 of the 3 minutes because you people have been here giving of your time, and I don't want to bore you to death. What?
Louder.
Not loud enough? All right.
Get closer to the microphone.
Should I start in the beginning again? All right. I'm here to seek information. I think it's the mayor, but there's a simple solution for that endless traffic congestion on Lee Avenue and Captain's Neck going all the way down Ox Pasture Road. It's a speedway at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I'm afraid to go out of my house, and if I do go out of my house, it takes me 50 minutes to get back from town. The simple solution was one that I heard a while ago of no left turns off of Lee Avenue and no left turns off of Captain's Neck. Keep the traffic flowing down Hill Street, because when the cars try to cut the traffic coming up Hill Street, everything stops. It could keep flowing if you didn't have people crossing the road and pushing their way into westbound traffic. Is it the mayor that I should speak to, or we should speak to? I've gotten many emails about this subject, and I finally decided to come down here and ask the question. What do we do to get it fixed?
Traffic regulation would be in the village, would be a specific traffic regulation for a street in the village would be the responsibility of the village.
Okay, thank you.
Longer term, maybe we'll get traffic flowing better on the main roads.
Well, that's
Shorter
long
term,
after years from now. I'm just trying to be able to go out of my house at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. And all I'm hoping for is a sign that on the ends of these streets that say, no left turn from 4 to 7. And,
Just 3 months a year.
Well, we'll.
and you can limit it to the summer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we have to continue
Thank
to
you.
move on.
Thank you.
If you forward us an email, we will forward it and review it. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're all. Kevin, anyone online?
Yes, we have 2 people on Zoom.
Thank you.
Sorry, 3.
Home by 7. Thank you.
Okay, Dorothy,
We can
you
hear
are
you.
on.
We can hear you. Yes.
We can hear you and see you.
Okay, I can barely see anybody. Okay, I'm just gonna do bullets because it's easier and we're all tired now, but I do have to thank you all. It's a great committee, you're really tackling a lot of topics, and it's a very sad meeting because everyone coming up to speak is saying the same thing. Everybody's afraid, there's so much traffic. I know in the Noyak area, we are an aging population. There are 450 homes, people can't get out of their homes. And I know you are starting to address this, but we really need to go a little faster. Now, as far as, I've spoken to Maria, I'm sorry she's not here tonight. The data collection, it seems to be, when I saw Tom, the engineer, when I saw that data, and Michael, you sent some of it, it's not accurate. So we were wondering, why is this not accurate? I went over to Greg's Garage. I think you have 1 accident for last year. There are 5 to 6 accidents every year at Greg's Garage. The woman across the street states that. So I think why you haven't fixed Noyak Road is your data is not accurate. And I've spoken to other people who have had accidents, just like I've had 8. So it's not normal to have 8 accidents at your home without the town doing something. So that's the first topic. I want to know, why is there a discrepancy? What's happening there? As far as the speed displays, thank you very much. I just want to make sure we're clear where they're going to be located on Millstone. I have a suggestion. I'm emailing it to you, just so you don't just put them in, but we put them in where the people who live right here know the exact part where it's going to be effective. Okay, and then Anne, thank you for that idea on a questionnaire to North Sea for the sidewalks, because Noyak is dealing with sidewalks right now, either sidewalks or a bike path. And the Noyak CC, we did a survey, which should come to you by today, but they didn't have it done, but it's only 100 people. There are many more people in Noyak, so I think that idea you had of sending a questionnaire to all of Noyak about sidewalks or bike path could be a great idea. That way, when the money comes in very early 2025, we're already organized, plans are already made, and you implement when the money comes in, instead of saying, oh, it's 2025, let's decide. We can do all of that right now. There's no reason, these projects are going on way too long. The speed cameras, which the chief discussed, it's not real. Pulling people over, that's what you have to do. You don't have enough police. Therefore, we need other solutions, and that's where speed tables come in. I know you don't like the idea. You have to consider it. You need to consider ideas that structurally change the road so you can only drive 30 to 35 miles an hour. Then you have no choice but to do the speed limit. If you said, oh, we have millions and millions for cops, we can put cops all along Noyak Road, we can stop it. You can't. We've done this like for many years. You can't do it. You need other solutions. And as far as signage, I agree with someone else. You do need signs. I'm not creative enough to come out with things.
Dorothy, I hate to cut you short, but we are past our deadline and we have to get out of this room.
Thank you all.
So
Thank you all.
please feel free to email us. I know.
I did, and I continually do, Tom.
Okay.
So now we're looking for solutions, not going circular on these topics.
Okay. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Can we get your name, please?
Yes, I'm Phil Smythe. I'm the president of the Remsenburg Association. I just wanted to thank the task force, the improvements they've already made in Remsenburg that were mentioned by Superintendent McCardle. And very pleased to hear continued discussion about the post office area in Remsenburg, potential for crosswalk there. I know that the committee has received some feedback about that, and to that end, the association also sent a letter to the task force this morning, reiterating our desire to see it go ahead and our preferred alignment for the crosswalk and sidewalk improvements in the area of the post office. So, you know, we had our solstice party Saturday, about 200 people, so that's close to 10% of the population of the hamlet. And feedback is pretty uniformly positive about the improvements that have been made so far, and people look forward to seeing further improvements on South Country Road and Rosenberg. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kevin, do we have one more person, I think?
That's all for me.
Okay,
They
that's it.
declined to become a panelist. I guess they're not talking anymore.
Okay. Well, that wraps up the public comment portion of the agenda. We did want to mention that we are tentatively planning the next meeting for July 31st, but that is tentative. We can't hear you from there, or the recording can't hear you from there. Please keep it brief.
There was an article in Newsday the other day about Riverhead Town receiving $24 million from the RAISE project, which was Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. And they applied for this grant 5 years in a row, and they just got it, and they're going to use it to revitalize their waterfront. Maybe it's something the town can look into to help with County Road 39, or even things on
That appreciate
town
that.
roads.
If you have a copy of that article or anything, please take it.
They gave it to us.
Well,
already
that
have
was
it?
a different one I gave you, but I can find it, yeah.
We'll be glad to take a look
'Cause-
at it. I'm sure the town would be interested.
Yeah,
Actually, when I see you tomorrow walking without getting run over, you can give it to me.
okay.
That's good. Okay,
Second.
so I think,
You
Sir-
mentioned a few times an email. Do you have an email address you can share?
Traffic at Southampton Town and
thank you. Okay, so we mentioned tentative meeting July 31st. And I think that's all I have on my list. Michael?
Okay, thank you, and we look forward to continuing our discussions next month, and we'll also work on some solutions in the meantime. So, I will add that we are, just so people can sort of anticipate, we'll try to get a discussion on our next agenda to dive a little bit deeper into speed cameras. We'll do another loop on that, but we'll also talk about east and west traffic volume that we wanted to get to today that we did not get to, as well as the 3 E's. And we'll also talk about an outline. We'll draft an outline for the final report that this committee is tasked with. So we appreciate everybody doing. And
Great.
sorry I can't be there in person. I really apologize.
Thank you. We have not confirmed that, but we will post it. We can let you know. Can ask Bill when you're walking. No, we'll post it. We'll make that decision and post that fairly soon. Feel free to contact Paula or the councilman, town council office. I'm sure they'd be able to tell
I
you.
didn't hear anything that was said.
Posting the time of the next meeting. I
I
said,
don't know, we have to talk to public safety, about when they can have a guard, because we were told, by public safety that we have to be conscious of our time. Because we've been having later meetings, I've heard from a lot of people that they prefer having later meetings so we can attend. So a lot of our meetings have been 4 o'clock on. We also had one meeting that was at 6 o'clock. That requires extra expenditures of our public safety officers. So we have to just take a look at what we can feasibly do. The time has not been determined yet.
And you can reach out to the town council office, I would say, within a couple of weeks, and we'll know. All right, and I think that's it.
Thank you.
Motion
Have a
to
good night,
close
everyone.
the meeting.
And you have that diagram of that traffic circle?
You can go past that.
That's for you. County Road, Long Beach. Drive by it every day.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, Tony. Put it on my pile. That's okay.
Okay. So I can get